Hi, welcome back to Tales of Lost. Like the phoenix rising from their ashes, these warriors lifted themselves up from desperation and grief with a passion for cold-served revenge. In the previous video, I explained what happened to these outcasts initially. Today, I will dive deeper into how they survived long-term and how they managed to escape with the aid of a familiar hand. If you haven't watched the episode yet, you can click the card on the right top corner to view it, or check out the channel. Without further ado, let's dive in. Over the years of suffering, the once scattered individuals formed a fierce force of warriors. Even though it wasn't easy, they found their way to raid surrounding villages and capture everything they needed. Horses and the other farm animals proved the most useful. Over time, however, they couldn't bear being cruel to other struggling villagers, so they decided to make trades instead of stealing. Wondering how they could manage to escape from this fortress, they explored beyond nearby villages only to find vast deserts. Who knows how long it would take to get out of there? Since they managed to create a livable environment for themselves, they stopped worrying about crossing the desert over time. The fire of revenge continued to burn inside them for sure, but they decided to wait until their time had come. As the years passed, not only did they develop their physical environment, but they also created unique culture and ceremonies. Love for each other was infinite, but attachment or commitment wasn't an issue for them. A few opposed this culture of polymorphic sexual partnerships, but they were a small minority. In this context, since protection hasn't been considered, producing and growing their population was never a problem. The minor issue was, when warriors became pregnant, they would go to propagation houses to ensure their babies were healthy until birth. After the babies were born, individuals known as mothers took on the role of their caretakers, prioritizing their safety and health above all. These mothers, once in under care, had become mentally stable over time to find their purpose in this new society. Since they didn't know what it felt like to have a mother, they cared for these children more than anything, teaching them for their stories, culture, and survival skills. When these children reached puberty and their skills were tested, it was time to decide whether they would become warriors. Becoming a warrior required intense training and mastery over time, but the main requirement was a ritualistic cutting. The right breast for feminine or the nipple for masculine bodies, to show unity regardless of body type and to demonstrate their fearlessness. That's why they never covered the right part of their torso, regardless of what they wore. This celebratory ceremony took place in front of everyone in the square, marking their acceptance into this large family. Breast cutting was mandatory for all, whether they intended to become warrior or not, though there was no ceremony for non-warriors. The only individuals excluded from this practice were the mothers, as their role was vital and they needed to maintain their physical integrity to feed the infants. They also believed that preserving their breasts was essential to represent their motherly figure. While this community stabilized over hundreds of years, their distant relatives were making cautious moves elsewhere. If caught by any cult members, they would be executed immediately. Extreme actions were no longer tolerated, and even brothels were forbidden from employing them. However, these resourceful beings always find a way to survive, developing their skills in camouflage and stealth to such an extreme level that no one could distinguish who they were. They can cross-dress perfectly with amazing makeup skills and props. Some of them become skillful assassins serving their unspoken society, eliminating anyone who threatened their community. This secret society grew from the sorrow of their long-abandoned siblings, with hopes that they would survive. One member of this secret community, Hanye, was tall, beautiful, charming, and charismatic. Their presence filled the room, and their charm made it easy to gather powerful allies. Over the years, they found a way to become one of the most powerful members of the government by their land, searching for any clue to find their lost siblings. Their assassin siblings proved reliability in this endeavor. Not long after Hanya's promotion to become the youngest counselor of the president, the most valuable information was handed down by one of those assassins. They managed to access archives that revealed the map and instructions needed to reach their lost siblings. It was unbelievable how their cult managed to alter the entire map of the lands to erase their place, but this old map showed everything they needed. Hanya informed the president that they will make a political trip, quickly gathered a small group of assassins and prepared to set off. Hanya experienced mixed feeling of excitement and fear for their existence, but they held high hopes that this long and troubling journey would finally come to an end and they could fulfill their life's purpose. After the longest days and nights, the group finally arrived at the gates of the lost city. Hanya struggled to hold back tears as they approached. The gates slammed open, and a group of warriors with horses swarmed around them, prepared to attack. The warriors were screaming, hissing, and speaking of mixed languages from many lands. But Hanya was prepared. They had learned all these languages over the years and were fascinated by how the warriors had combined them into a new language. Suddenly, Hanya drew a dagger, and the warriors grew even more enraged, but Hanya quickly opened their right nipple and cut it in a split second. The warriors held back, surprised and confused. Seeing the rest of the group also reveal their chests with no right breasts, the warriors were cheered loudly, sounding like a group of wild animals. They quickly took Hanya to healers, who stitched the wound while they explained all that had happened since they vanished. After spending weeks with them, Hanya assured them as a leader, promised that their revenge would be fulfilled. Hanya learned their way of speaking, studied their culture, and met with the mothers, full of admiration and curiosity. One night, during dinner, Hanya explained the main purpose of their visit. They wanted to take them from this fortress and give them a future they deserved. The only way to achieve this was conquer the city where Hanya were from. It was a tricky decision because these warriors had never crossed the desert before and didn't know what lay beyond, but their trust in Hanya was unquestionable. Hanya was the leader they had been waiting for all their lives. Hanya's city was well protected with high walls and many soldiers, but Hanya had so many assassins there to take the city overnight. The plan was clear. When they reached the edge of the city just before midnight, signal from outside the walls all the assassins to kill president, capture the rest of the government, and kidnap all the cult members. The warriors would kill the remaining soldiers while everything else was happening. A couple of days of preparation later, they left mothers and children in a fortress to promise they will take them once they conquer the city. Took all the warriors with them and reached to the edge of the Hanya city. Since Hanya's plan was flawless, they captured the city by the morning. The captured cult members were hanged outside of the walls to show everyone that the city has no longer ruled by the cult. They offered citizens who believed in the old gods the chance to leave, but almost no one left since all of them were disgusted by the strict rules of the cult. With a huge ceremony and celebration lasting for days, Hanya was declared the ruler of the city by the warriors, and the city became the most powerful city in the lands. And that's it. I hope you liked the story of the warriors and Hanya. This video is a bit longer than others, even though I cut many details from the story. If you made it to this point, thank you so much for your interest in this story and for joining me on this journey. Don't forget to like the video, and it would be amazing if you could subscribe if you haven't yet. Until the next time.